Once again, as usual, we're back. We're doing things a little differently on the set tonight for a particular reason. It's a Mother's Day special, and for Mother's Day, we wanted to bring somebody into the studio who we felt like personifies what Mother's Day is really about. And the guest we have tonight is someone who I have a lot of respect for personally, and probably people all across the nation, probably around the world. She's you're gonna know who she is once I make the introduction. But as you know, this will be no different. We're gonna take the music, her music in particular, the songs that she chose to kind of focus on for her situation and what she's going through in life, and we're gonna take that music and we're gonna do as we always do. We're gonna listen to it, blend it into what we do because we know music is the soundtrack to our lives. We're gonna debate it. We're gonna come right back and we're gonna do it word for word. Come on, let's go. Nope, we're not gonna do that shit. Keep it real. Keep it real.
Don't care what you heard, but we gon' word for word.
These next episodes, just be ready that it's wet, it's juicy.
Cause we gon' word for word.
I don't know what you're into.
Hey, yo, this your man. Hey, yo, go get your man.
With the update on Tamir Rice.
Ever since the incident November 22nd, 2014, when a man in the park that day called 911 about someone waving a gun, though he cautioned it could be a fake.
It means a lot to me. It means that people have not forgotten and people wants to see this family have justice.
I mean, for example, the mayor never requested to actually speak with Ms. Rice, never spoke with her.
Investigation questionable.
There's a recognition that the Rice family was cheated of any sort of fair process.
There's really no settlement, however historic financially, that could bring closure and a sense of justice to this family.
It's never too late for justice. I'll be fighting probably to the last breath in my body just because I'm Tamir's voice and my son needs justice. He deserves justice.
The nation has been able to see her pain. Probably one of the toughest police shootings that we probably have witnessed. Maybe the toughest because her son was the absolute youngest out of anyone who was killed, and it made international news. And if you notice, whenever it's mentioned to this day, her son is the first name that you would mention when you talk about this particular issue. So I want to welcome here to the set of Word for Word, a warm welcome to Miss Tamir Rice.
Thank you.
No, yeah, you get those for sure. Just listen, thank you for coming. Today we're going to do things a little bit differently. Let me pass this to you guys. So when you guys are ready to do that. So when we're ready to do that,
Sorry, I crumbled it up.
When we're ready to move on to that particular topic, because what we did, we asked some people to write in to ask you some questions. We had a few people write. There was a few more questions, but we're going to go with these two because we know that usually one question, we usually drag out a conversation for like 15, 20 minutes. So that's why we didn't do more than two. We picked the two questions that some of the viewers, that when I put it out there, we asked them to send us a question that they wanted to ask you. So we have them there. There's two questions. Then we do what's called the trauma track at the end of the show. And we also have your songs on there. So first of all, what I want to do is ask you, now you've dealt with the situation for like years now. We're coming up on
9 years.
9 years. 9 years. So we're coming up on what would be what should be Tamir's 21st birthday. Give us, before we even go into the show itself, give us a little bit of the backstory in terms of how have you been coping, and how does Mother's Day, this is what I want to ask you personally, how does Mother's Day affect you every year knowing what you went through and what you're still coping with? Two questions, how does it affect you? How has it affected you over these years? And what does Mother's Day mean to you, and how does it affect you even more each time this time of year comes around?
Okay, well, thank you for having me, Mr. Terrence. And basically, it been rough. You know, me and my children, we suffer with PTSD, and that's just real. Just still fighting for justice for Tamir and going through 3 administrations is very disappointing and disgusting on behalf of America that I don't have justice for my 12-year-old son that was murdered. Yeah, so it's been rough. It's been rough. Let me just say that, and I've been fighting and working through the pain and just building Tamir's legacy, building the foundation, and just want to build to bring change in the community for the youth. So that's what I've been doing. Working on his 21st birthday. We're going to celebrate it in Chicago. And I usually celebrate it in Cleveland, but this time around, you know, Cleveland is very political, as a lot of these states and cities across this country is, and nobody really wants to. In Cleveland, per se, they do. You know, they give me a hard time about supporting his legacy. Let me say that. So I took it to Chicago. To the Art Bank where Theaster Gates is. Theaster Gates is a black, profound black artist in the community, and he is preserving the gazebo for me. So I decided to do his 21st birthday out there.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Well, answer the second part of that question, because I mean, I asked you this question only because from a personal standpoint, every time, like I lost my mom when I was like 10, almost 11 years old. So every time Mother's Day used to be, like for years, I would say for like 20 years or so, Mother's Day was the worst time of year for me.
Yeah.
So for you, how does Mother's Day stack up for you, knowing that you lost your youngest child?
Yeah. Well, it's a puzzle. It's like a puzzle, and it's a piece missing from that puzzle. And it don't just affect me, it affects his siblings as well. But we try to make the best of it, you know what I'm saying? I have grandkids, and, you know, my daughter and my son has children, so we try to make the best of it. But it just ain't the same, you know, because your piece of your puzzle is missing, and you would never be able to get that piece back.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I totally understand. I want to kind of pivot, and because I know Tariq and Bree may have their own personal questions. I'm pretty sure that you know, when you bring somebody else because they've watched, you know, over the years, you know, because your story was so widespread.
And it's interesting, hate to interrupt, you said 3 administrations. That's
Yes.
all the way up until Obama, if I'm correct.
No, actually, Obama, Trump, and then the Biden administration.
Okay, yeah, backwards. But
yeah.
back then, I was a kid. Bree, you was younger. you was around there, I would say. And just seeing everything that has happened with race in those years, it's, from my perspective as a child growing up in that, it's interesting. It's something to watch. It's interesting to explain.
Yeah, this country really had me believing that I was gonna get justice for my son, and knowing that we had a video and he was 12 years old, there was no way that I couldn't get justice. And then I found out that, you know, the corruption is real and the conspiracy of covering up murders across the United States is real. And that's kind of where, you know, I'm at. And just dealing with the Obama administration and Vanita Gupta at the time, she was the head of DOJ, and having meetings up there, they were supposed to do more investigations and stuff like that, but the whistleblower blew something, and I don't really know. And then going to the Trump administration, you know, we asked for motions and memos that they were supposed to give us, and they never gave us. Then you all hear it quietly was squished or squashed. It wasn't. They never told me that they did it. They just did it and put it out. And then having my meeting with Christian Clark, is the head of the DOJ now, and just really going into that meeting with my attorneys, and she's telling me that statute 242, willful intent, is a hard statute to challenge. And my attorney saying, well, you could challenge it. Here's a letter from 50 scholars of yours, like Brian Stevens was on there, Angela Davis was on there, some few other her colleagues was on there, and she still refused to take the case because she could take the case to Supreme Court because they, you know, at that time they could take it and prosecute it and stuff like that. So it's just very cowardly on the DOJ part that nobody in this country is going to get justice if you killed by the police, especially if you're black and brown.
And now you are a part of, well, you're a part of a group of women and fathers that are missing their children of color.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, we understand that the white supremacy is infiltrated with the law enforcement. We do understand that, and that's kind of what people need to understand, that white supremacy is infiltrated through the police department and law enforcement, and, you know, hire people that's up. So
I'm glad you kind of, we're gonna pick up on that point. I'm glad you kind of mentioned that because we're at a, I remember back in 2000 when I brought you and Miss Gwen Carr, she's Eric Garner's mother. I brought you guys in, and she mentioned something. She told me that back in 2009, but then we found that it was also done in 2016. The FBI released a report that said nearly every single law enforcement agency in the United States was infested, like inundated with nothing but Nazis, white supremacists, and Klansmen. Yeah. And this was back, like, you gotta remember, this is the FBI that released this report. Now, they did that in 2009. They did another one that said that it had got even worse in 2016. So imagine what it is today. So when you say that, we like, and this is not stuff, this is not hyperbole, this is not stuff that we're making up. This is the federal government released this report on all the other police forces, like all the other law enforcement agencies around the country. Yeah. So when you say that, we already know what we're dealing with. So, because on this show, we have a lot of fun. But I know but I want to do other topics. I want to talk about different things on this show, because we're starting to get a nice platform of people, a diverse audience of people. So I'm always want to touch on things, and like through my films, I've already touched on these subjects and things like that. So eventually I was going to come back to this. So having said that, I know that you've been able to expose some of this, but you and I both know that exposing it is going to be like next to impossible, because it's, because of how widespread it is.
And there's always someone on the other end,
right,
spewing up a lie.
Yeah, well, I'm always tell the truth.
Right.
And what I do know is that with the police department, law enforcement, all of that being infiltrated with white supremacy, and it's a prime example how they overkill us out in the streets. And Jalen Walker was another example of overkill. And then also a lot of these officers are not highly trained or educated. So they get cocky and they be into these blue wall of silence, and they be doing rituals. And the ritual is to kill a black body and things like that. So keep that in mind as well. And a lot of these officers and
Now which one is Jalen Walker? Which one is that?
That was in Akron, Ohio. He was shot over 40 times. That's the traffic stop.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
is that more recent?
Yeah, that's
and then
that was crazy.
Down in Sacramento, the young his name is Willie something. They shot him sleep in the car about 50 times. So again, with a lot of these, this was down in Sacramento, Vallejo, California. So by me knowing a lot of families across the country, I get the privilege to hear these stories and figure out how in the world do he get sleep shot in the parking lot and 50 times. So again, that was the story from California and stuff. I forget his last name, Willie McCoy, I believe his name, Willie McCoy. Y'all look him up in Sacramento or Vallejo, California.
Well, as you're talking, we're showing those images right now as we're
absolutely.
talking. So yeah, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then also the last thing is that the police officers, peace officers, or whatever kind of officers they call themselves, they need to be certified to be carrying a badge and a gun, because a lot of them is not up to date with their CPT training, and they know what I'm talking about. They're not up to date with their CPT training, which means they're supposed to have yearly training to even carry that gun and things like that, and they're not up to date. And for instance, in Tamir's case, I don't even know if Timothy Loman was up to date with his CPT training, because willful intent means the statute 242. It means willful intent means that the gun was already sitting on your lap. There's no way you could have had it in your holster, telling my son to put his hands up and all of that, and he was shot less than a second. So it's a lot of factors that plays in situations, right? In a lot of protocols, a lot of procedures getting broke, nobody's getting held accountable, and then they let these police officers, after they do the crime, they let them go home for a couple of days, and then they want to question them.
They get time to customize their story.
So the system is very much broken, and we need to get them up out of here. The Senate in the House.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we've had this conversation. Like a lot of people are having this conversation now, because you have people who were supporting like this whole cop thing for like years, but now a lot of people are starting to realize, because now the brutality is getting spread to other communities now. So now people are starting to realize, until this qualified immunity situation is gotten rid of, you know, we're gonna continue to have these sort of issues and things like that. Now, I asked you to give me a couple songs that you felt like would kind of tell the story of what you went through. Give me these two songs you gave me were more on the light-hearted side of it. Towards the end of it, we do what's called trauma tracks. I'm gonna ask you towards the end of it about your trauma track, what you think your trauma track might be that brings you back to either more likely that situation. But what those two songs, name the first of the two songs that you felt like kind of embodies what you see yourself going through, and the situation that you find yourself in as a result of what happened to Tamir.
So I picked Marvin Gaye, Mercy, Mercy, Mercy Me.
Listen to this, y'all.
Whoa, oh, mercy, mercy me.
Exactly. That's what she picked. Go ahead.
And the reason I picked it just I needed grace over my life to deal with my situation and my journey, and that's what Marvin Gaye has given me is like listening to him. I'm able to gather my thoughts and make some sound decisions, just listening to the words and just knowing who he was and things like that. I needed some grace and mercy over my life. Like I said, going through a tragic or a trauma like this, you can kind of lose your mind. You know, a lot of families have lost their man and that have not came back. And I just thank God for allowing me to keep my righteous mind. Keep my righteous mind.
All right, well, before you give me your second one, Bree, ask her what the questions that you want. No, don't read those, but give her your own first, and then we're gonna go to those on the paper. Being a mother yourself, knowing that you're sitting here with somebody whose situation was, you may have had something like in your in your mind that you always wanted to ask her. Ask her what you think, like with a question you might have for her of your own.
Absolutely. So as a mother of three myself, I just couldn't begin to imagine, like, you know, just day to day, like just with anything. So just to ask you from the time that it happened, and again, I know you will never, ever, ever be the same. We get that. But from the beginning, when this first transpired and happened to now, like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel like like, have you ever probably, because this has been obviously for you maybe one of the most trying situations of your life, I'm sure. So for you, like, what would you say was that thing that kind of really like helped you make it from day to day? Like, what would you say is the thing or person or whatever it could have been that have really helped you, you know, make it through? Because I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. So I think because my son was a baby and he was 12 years old, and then wanting to hold people accountable the best way I could by causing this discomfort, uncomfortability, whatever. I think that's what kind of made me go in. Also with the support around the country and people, you know, helping me, you know, for more say, like even when I couldn't stand up, the community stood up for me, the world stood up for me, and I'm grateful for that. You know, they did not let my son name die out because I was not strong enough to talk at the time. And that, you know, so when I did become strong enough to talk, I took it with grace, and I just kept going forward. I mean, America gave me a platform when they murdered my son, and I don't have to be quiet. I'm saying I don't have to be quiet. I'm gonna always tell the truth and make it uncomfortable for them, and it is what it is. They know what they have a lot of blood on their hand, and all type of stuff they have destroyed and stole and killed. So that's kind of just knowing who I am as a Black queen has actually helped me get through. In the beginning, of course, it was rough. I still had 2 children in school. And, you know, they got, again, they was neglected a little bit because I had to fight for one child and really couldn't pay attention to the other children. So, yes, it was very difficult, but I was able to manage and maintain
and with the trauma,
structure.
and with, sorry to interrupt, with the trauma that they could possibly be facing as well at the same time.
Yeah. So I had to ask God for a lot of mercy and grace because I had to put my feelings to the side. When you're a mom, you have to be strong and be that rock for them children. And they never seen me break. They probably barely never seen me cry. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to be there for them, and being my son being a teenager in school, and kids may be saying the wrong thing. I still have to keep a straight mind, and my daughter, because they were getting approached by children in school making ignorant comments and stuff like that. So I have to still keep a straight mind, and I couldn't really lash out and things like that. So you know, at the end of the day, when they take off their uniform, they still a human being.
Right.
Yep.
So I don't understand how they can not be in trouble or not be held accountable because they got a badge and a uniform on. That's crazy. I don't understand how the Bill of Rights gonna trump the constitutional rights. So at the end of the day, I ain't gonna go back and forth with them white folks up in no White House. I ain't going back and forth with them. They gonna rot in hell, and they need to know that they not going to heaven while they up in churches and giving monies away. Y'all ain't. It don't matter what you do. You still not.
That's right.
You're not going to heaven. I'm here to tell you, it's not a place for you up there. Just know that. Only the righteous will go there. So just know that the people that's down here that's really trying to make a change, and I don't see now one of these white supremacy trying to make no change. They're trying to destroy this country.
They're trying to destroy everything. They're not trying to make a change to like fix it and get it, like, as what you were saying, like to get rid of this whole constitution.
That constitution.
And because it had nobody like us in mind.
Right.
Like nobody that looked like us was in mind for that. So I mean,
Yeah.
and that's not hyperbole. That's not something we're making up. That's just the reality.
It's just the reality of it. Absolutely.
As far as that second song, give me that second song and how you have used that to your advantage and to like to relate to your situation and to kind of prosper and deal with what you've been through over these past 9 years.
Okay, so the second song was Curtis Mayfield, The Makings of You.
Let them listen to that song real quick.
The makings of you.
There we go.
So yeah, The Makings of You is, it talks about the righteousness, it talks about the youth, and I wanted to give back to the community and we wanted to do it in Tamir's memory, so I have a youth center, and we do after-school programming, and that's what my son benefited from being in different programs, and me just really invested in him and his sister. So that's what I did with the community. I invested in it.
That what you just said
What's
right
up?
there. That's what she just said right there is what we talked about in a couple of other episodes. Having a place for our youth to actually have like an outlet.
Yeah.
We mentioned
Yeah, we mentioned that. Yeah, that's.
We did.
Summertime is coming up.
Yeah.
All the things that you see our children doing on social media that you may dislike or you may have your own opinions about, they're doing this because they don't really have anywhere to go. They don't have an outlet.
They don't have an outlet. So we want to give, after school free programming with mentoring and expression arts and free music and
Yeah, she's already doing this stuff.
Yeah,
she's already doing it. Yeah.
Awesome. Where at again?
This is going to be in Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah. And Tamir Rice Afro Central Culture Center. And we have a performing arts studio. We're going to do civic classes and nutrition classes. Just things that I know that my children benefited from. I have 4 high school graduates. They was able to get Tamir an honorary diploma. So it was very important that I made sure that my children had their high school diplomas. It was very important to me. So they was able to get it.
Well, let me do this. Who's this first one right here? Right here.
Okay, so
let Tariq do the first one.
Okay, go ahead.
Tariq, do that first one. Read. This is from this is an email or this DM. This DM. Okay, okay. I had a bunch of DMs. I put it on my page. Tariq said we only got that many, get that many on the word for word page because that page is still building up. But I got a bunch of them on my page, so I just picked the ones that probably would fit kind of what we were doing here today. Read that first DM that we have. The person that wanted to ask her a question, so she can answer that question.
So this is from Miss Kathy. Hi T, it's been a while since we've spoken via social media, but I've actually just watched your last film. I saw that you will be having Tamir's mom on the show. So can you ask her where and when will she be doing a remembrance event for Tamir, and how can I attend?
Oh, okay. So we don't really do remembrance.
Interesting word.
We don't really do that.
That's kind of old school. Yeah.
I just
remember.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Now I know exactly who she is. Like, yeah, she's an older lady from. She came to one of my events and she came. She actually came to like a couple of my screens and stuff. So that
one of the church mothers.
Yeah. Because I could look. Because she got a bunch of pictures of not of her on her page when I put it, but I wanted to. She wanted to find out what you were doing around the country.
Oh.
But the old school they call it remembrance and stuff.
Oh, okay. No, it's fine. I think for the most part we just celebrate Tamir's birthday, which Tamir's birthday is in June. It's June 25th, and we're gonna
have the same birthday.
June 25th.
I'm a Cancer.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's right.
Okay. Yes. So we're gonna
I'm
celebrate
so
his
excited.
birthday.
That's amazing. That's exciting.
It is.
Same birthday.
Yes. So we're going to celebrate it in Chicago at the Art Bank where Tamir's gazebo is, and that's the resting place for it right now. It's the resting place in Chicago.
Check this out. This is the flyer banner from it. You can see it here posted here on the screen now while we're talking. You can keep talking because while they're looking at the banner.
Okay, great. And so we're gonna celebrate his 21st birthday in Chicago, and
so Miss Kathy, if you can make it to Chicago, that's on the 25th.
That's where you're gonna be.
And then sometimes we honor him on his anniversary, which is November 22nd, and his 10th year anniversary will be coming up in 2024, and I'm planning to have it at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
So, so I'm just working here. If she likes to reach out and maybe she could come in, volunteer, things like that. But we don't really do a lot. I kind of work in the community doing certain events. Like our last event was I did a youth self-care day.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Where we got about 15 to 20 kids hair done for prom and haircuts. and stuff like that. Got their nails done, and we were able to give away self-care bags and art bags for them to go be creative and stuff like that. So that was pretty good. You could find that on the Tamir Rice Foundation page. And a lot of our events you can find on our page that we do in the community.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. Okay, so I hope she answered your question, Miss Kathy. And like I said, we'll post it again during the show. You'll see the banner, the flyer for that particular event with all the information on it. And I'm sure there'll be a website or email address or something on it that you can kind of reach out to. So we'll post that again. If you didn't see it this time or it wasn't up there long enough, we'll post it again somewhere during the course of the show. We also had another person that sent in a question that they wanted to ask you. So Bree, read that particular question.
Of course, yeah. So this DM was sent from Kev, the change we need. Yo, Takeem, I'm sending this DM to you after seeing the post you uploaded about Tamir Rice. Knowing that you will have his mother on your show as a guest, can you ask her this question? Why has Tamir's death been the hardest for people to come to grips with, even to this day, and since he was so young at the time? Does she still feel like she has to be a voice on this issue whenever these killings occur?
Of course, absolutely.
He asked you why you feel like his death is still to this day. That's the first part.
Yeah.
So it's a two-part, I guess.
Yeah, it's a two-part question.
Well, I mean, that's my son. I'm his voice. And
But no, the first part he's saying, why do you what did he say?
No, he was asking, like, do you feel like Tamir's death has been the hardest for people to come to grips with to this day, being so he was so young?
Yes, it is, because people still come up to me and they be in tears and they tell me they so sorry. And I think for the most part, I just have to take it with grace, because it's a lot for me for somebody to come up and cry and say, I'm sorry about your son. And, and usually they're white people, you know what I'm saying? And
I think it's a little bit of guilt. I think
it has a lot to do with guilt and things like that. But my son's murder has affected a lot of people across the country, because he is documented as one of the youngest children to be murdered by police terrorism. And there's no way to get around it. There's no reason why Tamir should not have an indictment or a conviction. I don't know why.
And I think to piggyback off of that, the general public, definitely not all, but the general public as a whole, especially nowadays, where we're moving on from that time frame of like just racism and just the bigotry. I know from my generation, we're sick of it. We want to actually come together, but it's just the people that are in power and that are in government, they have us literally, fighting each other.
Yeah, well, I think for the most part, you definitely have to be resilient, but also when being in organizations or trying to lead a movement, it has to be led by Black people. Black liberation is first. It can't be no liberation until Black liberation is honored. You know what I'm saying?
And that's kind of what it boils down to. What was the second part of the question? The second part of the question?
Does she feel like she has to be a voice on this issue whenever these killings continue to occur?
Absolutely, yeah, I do, because my son's name is always mentioned.
Every time, yep.
And I'm his mom and I'm his voice, so I will always address it when they ask for me, because they usually will get in contact with me, media, to speak on different subjects and topics. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, every time, because like I said, her and I always talked about this a bunch of times. Every time, one of these killings happen, the first name they always say Tamir.
Absolutely.
And plus he would be the first name to come to mind anyway, because he was just so young. So because I don't think up to then I don't think we never. How old was because Emmett Till was 14 or 15.
Yeah, he wasn't 14. He wasn't even 12.
Yeah. The other one, I forget the name. With the Arizona iced tea in Florida, I forget what that was.
Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, but he was. How was he?
He was
16 or 17, 16.
Yeah. So again, I feel like still to this day,
It's sickening. It's sickening for me, because I don't never get a chance to heal And
because-
it's overwhelming, and it's a lot of pressure on me because my children are still, so I have a 27 and a 25 and a 23-year-old. They still see things on social media. I have to address that as well. I have to keep them calm and cool and collective, that they don't go flip out on nobody, you know what I'm saying? So it's very stressful. It's very overwhelming to that they know that they keep murdering us, and I have to be the voice.
You gotta be the voice of reason. Even
Yeah.
during all this pain, is
During the pain.
I can't. Listen, bro. Listen, like I've told her this before. I've told her this in front of the crowds when I spoke on them before. Man, how they've been able to really not flip out and lose. And run up into one of these places with
a machete.
It has been grace and mercy.
I'm telling you, man.
With the Draco.
With the Draco.
Yeah, it has been a lot of grace and mercy.
Shout out to Biggs Moolah.
Whole bunch of praying. Whole bunch.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I told them this before, man. Y'all listen, y'all better than me, cause that was me. I went off the deep end a long time.
Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of families
because
don't.
all the stuff that keeps happening,
Yeah.
keep trenching it back up, and if you're not strong enough, man, it'll drive you to some crazy stuff.
Absolutely, it
You
will.
know,
It will.
It'll drive you. So you gotta keep on believing in a higher power and just just saying.
stay prayed up, I'm telling you.
Exactly. Because other than that, man, these people, because there's gonna be somebody that's not gonna be able to handle this at some point.
Of course.
They're gonna do this to the wrong person.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Who
you telling?
trust me,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. You're gonna do this to the wrong person, and that person.
It's gonna start the civil war.
Yeah.
So that's when the party gonna get started. Although it should be already started, but
Yeah, but it's gonna take a lot more.
It's gonna take
because
a
we
whole
got too
lot
many.
more.
Yeah, we got too many people out in this. Like her and I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
You got like I told her the story about one of my friends. He's in law enforcement, and he told me, he said, "T, man, listen to me, man." He said, whenever this stuff happening and then people got there marching, he said, I'm around. He said, I'm a cop. He's like, listen, man, they just be in these police stations or police cars just laughing at people marching. He said they just be laughing at them because he said they know that's all you're gonna do.
Yeah,
He
that's
said
all.
he flat out told me I was smart. He said they just be laughing at people.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Because we people of God,
Yeah,
godly people.
we're not
Yeah,
exactly.
and we're not devils and murderers and rapists and stuff like that. So it's a different scenario with a different species. And being a white supremacist, you're definitely a different species.
And I think getting to actually get this to, make a change and like to get the Congress to actually like flip and stuff, we have to get our youth out and vote. Like every election, I know it's not like important, but it's more than just a presidential election.
Yeah.
But you have to act like your life depends on it because it 1,000% does. So
It definitely
I agree
does.
100% with you.
Y'all hearing it from like y'all hearing it from like he's extremely young, and the fact that he's saying that lets you know that a lot of other young people like him are waking up, because a lot of them don't realize that like we're gonna be gone. Y'all still gonna have to be here dealing with this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I'm not dealing with this in 2028 or 2029.
Oh no, we still gonna be here to deal with it then. But I'm talking.
Y'all ain't that old. Y'all ain't that old.
Shit. So I keep like, I'm gonna be here 4 years. What you talking about?
Shit, you out your rabbit ass mind. This nigga crazy.
I just aged y'all real good.
I'm trying to get you up out of here.
I'm thinking more so like 2045, 2050. You know what I'm saying? We might. Well, that's why I probably.
You'll still be here for that.
Yeah, that's
But
why
you know,
we
but
get
2050, 2060. But you guys are gonna be here. You know what I'm saying? And with all the damage that they're doing right now, that shit is gonna directly affect y'all.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, man. So y'all like you can't rely on just the older generation to really do it. Y'all got to step up, because right now y'all see what they're doing. Like there's about four Republican senators who's flat out said that we want to raise the voting age to 21 to get rid of all of the Gen Zs. To stop them from voting.
So
He didn't even hesitate, just said it.
Yeah,
They're not even trying to hide it. That's 21. Like,
He said, well, one of them said 21.
One of them was.
Another one said 25. You're
Another
right.
one did say
the
25.
one in Mississippi said he want to raise it to 25.
he said 25.
Which means they're trying to get rid of all those people.
They've been emboldened by the last presidency.
He opened Pandora's box.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, well, it's time for the old timers to get up out of here it's just time for them to go. They have ruined the country,
Yeah,
and,
they really
and
have.
all the other countries are laughing at Americans.
Literally just laughing at
They're like the biggest
us.
laughing stock. Like, it's
That's
They
the
laughing at us.
crazy part. They are just like
It's
looking
an
at us like
embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be an American.
China,
American.
Russia. You see what's going on over there?
It's
Yeah, they about to elect
embarrassing
Trump
to be
again.
an
Yeah.
American. Let me just say that it's
Yeah, this
embarrassing.
dude just tried to overthrow. He tried to, but the thing is, he wasn't trying to overthrow the government to help us. He was trying to overthrow the government
Just for himself.
For himself, you know, he wasn't trying to- like like he wasn't trying to redo the Constitution for like anything positive.
No, he was trying to redo it for his daggone self.
Yeah, just on his own personal. Yeah, and it's crazy, but having said that, man, let me tell you something right now, man. Like having someone like you here to discuss these sort of issues, it's the sort of thing where as though, when we get a chance to really talk about it, it's best that we talk about it in a way, on this level. And I'm just glad that we were able to really focus on it in this particular way. Let me say this. Is there something, because you and I talk about different things, is there something that you wanted to personally address? Because what we're going to, like I said, we're going to prop this up. This sit down with you. I'm going to prop it up, and we're gonna put it together. When we put it together and release it and upload it, we're gonna add a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, visuals with it. We're gonna prop this episode up right here. So what else did you want to kind of touch on in terms of your particular experiences that you haven't touched on before we move to this trauma track?
My personal experience?
Yeah, in terms of like something that you went through that you really wanted to shine more of a light on, that like you needed more of a platform to be able to be in a comfortable situation like we are here today,
right,
and be able to kind of talk about it, and then so we can find whatever visual images that we can find to add to it. What is it something that you wanted to kind of address? Because you and I kind of mentioned something before.
Yeah, well, I know one thing. I wish in the beginning of my journey that I had people to support me and come in and support me, but I wish that I was able to express myself more, because the way I was feeling back then, I was turned up and people was wanting me to relax and calm down and deliver it a different type of way, and I didn't want to do that. And just working.
Yeah, but that was your pain. That was your pain.
Yeah, it just and working with certain people in the movement, they kind of suppressed that for whatever reason, and I did not know why until later down the line. Like sometimes in the movement, you have certain people will come in and act like they're for you, but not really. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when I'm gonna give y'all an example. I remember when I got the verdict back from Timothy McGinty. He was the prosecuting attorney in my son's case, and I'll never forget it. And I'm thinking that Timothy Loman was gonna get indicted, and this happened December 28th, 2014. And he called my phone and said that he was not gonna indict Timothy Loman, and I just busted out crying and screaming. And at that time, I was gonna do a standoff in the street. Working with some people in the movement, they stopped me from doing it because I knew I would have had the support. I was gonna do a standoff in the street with the police down there, and just sit out there because you can. There's a videotape. What you talking about? Why I ain't got no indictment? Y'all tripping. Yeah. So I was gonna stand on that, but I did not have the support, and they wouldn't let me come out there. So that's kind of something that I kind of regret, that I wish I could have done. Being with people in the movement, and y'all know I have called the movement out, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I didn't call the movement out for what it is. Certain individuals come around that you don't know where these people come from. You didn't ask them to come. They just come and they speak upon your loved one name, and all type of benefits come with it from them, but not for the family or the community and things like that. While they showing us how to march in the streets and whatnot like that, they should have been showing us how to get indictments and convictions on our children. So And if people know who I'm talking about, they know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't know if I need to call their names, but they know who they are.
If Ghost was here, he
If-
would have
if
made
say
you
his
call their
name.
name.
If Ghost was-
If
Ghost say his
Ghost was
name.
here, you would have had to tell their names.
Say their names. Well, they know who they is. They know exactly who they is. You know, those Shine Kings in the world, and y'all don't really hear too much from Shine King. I didn't even know Shine King, and he knows that. And he sent me a $60,000 check. Who asked you to raise this money for my son? And I'm sure it was more money raised, but I didn't get the rest of it.
Because you
and
guys
stuff
said
like
60,
that.
trust me, it was like maybe
Goodness, could you imagine?
what?
I can't even
so-
imagine.
Yeah, so, you know, and with that, they feel like they entitled to something. And, you know, those Tamika Mallory's of the world and the Patrice Cullors of the world, you know what I'm saying? So, again,
We name dropping now.
at this point,
I'm gonna make this a clip.
at this point, you know, they know what they have done, and they have not taken care of no families or no community as they gather all of this funding across the world, and we still don't have no indictments or no convictions for our loved ones. So I don't have time to play with those type of folks. You know what I'm saying? I just really don't.
Well, one thing about you, that's why I wanted to give you that platform right there, because I already know how she, you know what I'm saying?
Straight shooter.
Yeah, let's don't pull no punches, and that's one of the things why. Because I asked a couple, I think we talked about this before. I asked a couple people why was she excluded from some of the when they got some of the other mothers together for some of the like even the political thing at the Democratic convention and things like that. They said because you know they don't know what she gonna say and stuff like that. Because these other people will go along to get along.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
the
She's
ones
not-
that you saw was going along to get along,
so she's
and
not-
I'm not, I'm not
she's not
shucking
gonna-
and jiving for them. Hillary and them asked, can I be on that campaign trail, and I turned it down. They also asked, can my son be in a commercial with Trayvon Martin? I turned it down. I said, can I get an indictment for my son? No, you can't. No, I can't be part of your political campaign. No, hecky no, get away from me.
Yeah.
So, but it was people that wanted me to do it, and I'm like, no, my spirit won't allow me to do it. It won't feel right. What am I on her campaign trail and I ain't got no indictment for my son? These people crazy. Yeah. So no.
Well, they probably looking at the fact that okay, she's woman run for president. They figure that
my voice would help her get more votes, not mine.
Yeah.
No.
Not mine.
No, not mine.
So, hey, listen.
Not mine.
Like I told you guys before when we first started this, we're gonna upload this. We're gonna probably put one more episode before we put this up. But I told you we're gonna bring an assortment of guests on this show, and Sam is gonna be back on this show again. So probably a few times because we always want to keep real life issues because most of the time we be on here having fun. So
Yes.
we be on here having fun on here. So but we can't just ignore some of the real stuff that's happening. I mean it like while we laughing and joking and running around and drinking and fucking and all this other stuff, they ripping our ass to shreds.
Right,
You know
and
what
they
I'm saying?
putting innocent people in jail.
Yeah, and just destroying a lot of lives. And also, Sam has agreed. Sam and I talked. She has agreed to come on board because people know that I'm always supporting my friend Tyree Wallace. Tyree's been locked up for like 25 years. Even the person who got killed know he didn't do it, and the person who actually did it has done time and has been home for 5, 6, 7 years. And he's still sitting in jail because this thing called this felony murder shit. Whereas though, if you're within the vicinity and you get you stay in there, you go to jail, you get life as well. But the actual killers didn't get life. And this man been sitting in jail for 25 years. Sam has agreed to help me speak up for Tyree just saying different posts and being involved with some of the things. Because I've been trumpeting his cause for a long time. She's going to has agreed to lend her voice to just speak on his behalf at some events. Even if it's just digitally, she's agreed to really just give her voice because her voice carries weight. And I want to thank her for that. And just really, before we do these trauma tracks, I want to touch on one more thing. When we prop up these kind of issues, it's just about really bringing awareness and really waking people up to stuff that they have not been paying attention to or they don't know about. So there's people. I'm like whether they know who you are personally. Once we say Tamir Rice's name, then say that you're his mother, people instantly know what we're talking about. So for those of you who've been living under a rock who don't know who Tamir Rice may be, we've introduced him to you today through his mother. And that's been my goal all along, to be able to give ourselves a platform with this show. My thing is to get my own platform with this show, to be able to speak on not just fun things, but things that affect us. That's why I'm so glad to hear that Tariq is really engaged. I didn't know. He said some things today that let me know that I didn't know he was disengaged.
Yeah, he's very engaged.
Yo, I didn't know he was disengaged.
Give it up, give it up.
I
Yeah,
gotta
he's
give it up.
give
to
it
him, you know what
up.
I'm saying?
I've got a little journalism in my body.
Okay, for real. You said,
Seriously.
because really, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know you was disengaged. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of young,
No, they're not.
They not.
They're really
they
not.
just out here on some nut shit.
Yeah, I was honestly impressed too. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, interesting.
That's what's up.
Thank you.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, you really engaged. So he just impressed me a lot today. He's already on point. You know,
Absolutely.
we
With
love
the
it.
crazy,
Yeah, with the
toxic
crazy,
nonsense. But
and we love his crazy ass.
Yes,
but
we love him.
He just
by
really,
the way,
he just really.
subscription break. If you want to
yeah,
see more of her, subscribe.
Yeah, please subscribe. Yeah. He's doing what I should have did. Yeah, please, y'all see it down there. Subscribe to the show.
Subscribe.
And also like the video. You know, please like the video and share it, please. We're gonna go into what we do every week. It's called the trauma track.
And the drama from the trauma, it's the problem. It's the problem.
Yep. So as we do, each week we pick a subject. We pick a subject matter from something that somebody from an email post or a social media post that someone sent us. And this week we had someone send us a trauma track, and I think it came with a question too as well. So we're gonna go through that trauma track, and then I'm gonna come back to I'm not sure if I asked you guys. I'm not sure if you asked you guys before. If not, I'm gonna ask you again. And Sam, I'm gonna ask you. I need you to the two songs you gave us are the songs that kind of uplift you. We're gonna ask you also. Do you have a trauma track that takes you back to something that maybe this particular situation might be something else, but something that happened in your life, a song that takes you back there, and every time to this day you hear it, it still takes you back there. But before we do that, think about it while we're doing that. Read the correspondence that we got from someone out there who's been watching our show, and thank you guys for watching the show. Our numbers are starting to pop up like crazy, so thank you. One thing y'all not helping us do, y'all gotta help us get that IG page up. We're getting lots of views on YouTube, and I see a lot of comments and everything, so help us get that IG page up. Let's do this trauma track.
All right, guys, this email is from Casey Love. Hi, everyone. I'm Casey from Richmond, Virginia, and I was with one of my coworkers a couple of weeks ago when she was watching one of her friends who was a guest on your show. I love the topic you all were discussing, especially the trauma track segment on the show. So I wanted to send in my own, which is The Greatest Love of All. That's a really hot one. It was the song I heard playing when a friend passed away from COVID. Also, please give your opinion on this question. Do you believe that people who pass away can speak to you through music?
Wow.
Interesting question.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I'm gonna say that. Let me answer that first, and then I'm gonna get you guys' opinion. That's the only question he asked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, good song, good choice.
Love that song.
That's a good choice. And I'm really sorry to hear about your friend who passed through COVID, but we know what that did. That ravaged.
Yes.
Definitely our community. I think it was targeted, but we're not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Great song. But in terms of your question, I do believe people speak to each other through music, and I do believe music gives you the words to kind of like sound off on things that may be affecting you. And I think people talk to each other through music, like even when they're gone, because we need something to kind of take us back to that person. Because I've even heard some people say that while a song is on, they've had things pop into their mind, and they felt like the person who passed away might have led to that. So, like I said, I don't know how true that is, but that has been said more times than we can ever be able to account. Yeah. So I personally believe that people are able to speak to each other through music when they pass away, but also definitely while we're alive, though. I think people are talking, like I said, because I said it before and I'll say it again, music is the soundtrack to all of our lives. We can all directly correlate something that we've either gone through or in the process of going through, and intertwine it with music. So that's why we did the show in the way we do it, where we attach the music to the topics, relationships, and all other aspects of life. Go ahead, give me your opinion, Bree, on that question that he asked.
Absolutely. I always feel like, people who have passed away some way, somehow, because it's always like the most convenient times. Like, if you're in a car by yourself or you're feeling down, like you notice like that song will come on, like, or a time, just even if it's an uplifting
Or you're in the
something.
supermarket and the song plays and you're just like, what's going on?
Exactly. You know what I mean? So absolutely, I definitely have to piggyback off of Takeem with that. I definitely feel like that's a way of connecting some way, somehow, still. Definitely like life after death type connection.
Yeah,
I agree.
Give me your opinion on that, Tariq, and then I'm gonna
Same.
ask you too.
I would say in the form of like relationships. I had a friend. I was friends with both him and his girlfriend. They were going through it. They were both cheating on each other.
Oh wow.
Well, like, they're still together to this day, though.
Oh, wow. Shout out to them.
Damn.
Shout out
to them.
But in the car with him once, and he's listening to this song. It's by Marshmello. It goes like, I cheated and I lied, and I broke down and I've cried. I've got nothing to hide no more. You can have the cover up there.
Yeah, it's up there now.
And literally a couple weeks later, I'm like hanging out with her, and it plays on her playlist. Wow. And she just starts like singing it and like deeply into it. And I'm just like, this is some weird voodoo shit. Y'all can leave.
What the fuck?
Y'all need to get back together, because I'm over this. Y'all rapping me in y'all nonsense.
Listen, whether other people agree with it, those two people will happily agree with it.
Yes, no, 1,000%.
Give me your opinion. What do you think? Do you think the music intertwines with speaks? People can speak through music to either past people who've passed or who to each other.
Well, I think for the most part, because when I went through what I went through, I actually went through the spiritual right, so I would listen to Marvin Sapp. I never would have made it in The Best of Me.
Okay. So you kind of took. Okay, so let's go straight to your trauma track.
Yeah.
So, do you have a trauma track of something that takes you back to something that happened, and it takes you back there to this day every time you hear it?
Do it have to be good or bad?
It don't have to be. It don't have to be bad.
Do it take me through?
That take you back to a particular incident that every time you hear, about the incident, you know that it takes you back to that moment.
Okay, so let me explain. So The Best of Me by Marvin Sapp. I'm gonna tell you, every time I hear that, I believe God has picked me for this position and chose my family for this sacrifice.
Oh wow!
And that right there.
It's a church hit.
It hits me in a different type of way, because I did not ask for this position. Yes, I was chosen for this. That's right. You know what I'm saying? So it just takes me to a place where it gives me some strength and courage, actually, and some wisdom for the better. I mean, because I had trauma all my life. So when you talk about trauma, I've been trauma since 12 years old. I have a story before Tamir. I was already traumatized before my son. So when they killed my son, that just kind of took everything over. I come out of a broken home, out of the inner city of Cleveland, Ohio, where the poverty is real. So coming out of a broken home, just trying to raise my kids, staying out of trouble myself, and then they murder my son. I've been trauma all my life, so I believe God has picked me and chose me.
That's how you know you were chosen, because somebody would have lost their mind. Like, you know what I mean? And not be able to, it's so admirable to see you here right now, right state of mind. Like, I'm just so like, I don't know, I'm just so like impressed by you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't easy, but thank you.
But you're here.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. And listen, I'm just glad that her journey has led us to this point and led her here today with us. And like I said, this is not going to be her first time on the show. And each time we're going to build it around different aspects and different topics, but it's always going to lead back to what she's been dealing with in her life with her loss. And we're going to tie it in different ways. But I just want to thank you, Samaria, for, flying in And on Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, sweetheart.
And happy Mother's Day, mothers.
Yes,
Happy
mothers,
Mother's Day to
happy
all the
Mother's
mothers.
Day.
You know, like I said, that's a tough day for me personally.
Yes.
But you know, I wish everyone to have a happy Mother's Day each time each year that it comes around. I mean, each time they come around each year. But for me, it's a hell of a day. But I want to thank you once again for joining us. And as always, to you guys out there, thank you for helping get our numbers up. Please help us start to get this IG page up. You've seen it several times during the show. Please subscribe to our channel. I think we're almost at 700 subscribers, 650, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, we
know you get notifications from
Exactly.
Instagram, so you might as well just tap on it and, you know.
Exactly.
Word for
subscribe.
word.
Word for word, baby. And hit the like button. Please like the video. Thank you guys, for joining in.
Yes.
And watch us do what we do, which is we listen to the music, as you heard it, we talk about it, and we debate it, and we do it word for word. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Out.